or else perhaps a few other players. How are you looking at this entire universe at the moment?
No, I think within the PSU bank pack, I think SBI as well as Indian Bank definitely look reasonably attractive in terms of valuations and in terms of the risk reward, in favor of investors. Our sense is that SBI is one of the large frontline banks which has already written off a large percentage of its bad assets. And going forward, even the management is pretty confident that a lot of NCLT cases would actually get in money for them on the table. Indian Bank also reported pretty decent numbers. In fact, although the profits were down, the asset quality has improved, and I think that is what the street has liked. Our sense is that both Indian Bank as well as SBI could be good positional kind of plays, if one were to look at the next 12 to 15 months, because I think overall the other PSU banks still are struggling with asset quality, and hopefully, before the next NCLT list is announced, I think these are banks which could possibly, not be that badly impacted, and one could see a stronger growth trajectory for them going forward.
But Avinash, just while we're talking about PSU banks, I mean, what sort of an investor really should be looking at these, as well as the time horizon you think one should go in for?
No, I think clearly, investor who actually looks at PSU banks should take a slightly longer term horizon, because, there could be some more pressure points in terms of the next NCLT list being announced. And I think if that happens, you could see a lot of provisioning happening for the PSU banks. To that extent, I think the private sector banks are well positioned. Something like a Kotak, a IndusInd Bank, or maybe a Federal Bank could be better positional bets. But I think within the given scenario, clearly larger banks like SBI, Bank of Baroda, or typically Indian Bank, I would still like to be with the larger PSU banks. The smaller PSU banks could still be in for trouble, and we could see a lot of asset write-offs, in the next, say, 2 to 3 quarters.
All right, let's leave it at that with the PSU banks. But I just want to bring up what we're looking at is very clearly an earnings boost for Page Industries. Profits are 45%. Look at what we have so far at 124 crores. Just bringing that up for you right there. This is the latest that we have on Page Industries as well. Avinash, tracking this at all?
Yeah, I think, Fatima, numbers have been pretty strong. If you see the overall performance in Q1, a very strong top line quarter, a very good EBITDA margin, and most importantly, bottom line has improved from almost 89 crores to 123 crores. I think this company definitely has done remarkably well within the hosiery innerwear segment, and I think clearly I would believe that the second and the third quarter would be equally stronger. The benefit of GST has started coming in, and I think most importantly for a branded player like Page, one could see further margin expansion and further top line growth.